This kid just took out 7 delinquents in the blink of an eye. Shizuka is standing there, completely floored by what she just saw. The realization starts to hit her. Could this invisible kid actually be someone legendary? But let's rewind to Haikage High School, where this all began. This is Akira Kogure. He's 15, and he's sick of being the school ghost. He decides to make a move and bursts into the classroom with a loud morning. It's a total flop. He's so late that his classmates just give him a quick look and go back to their own business. It's the same old routine. Everyone is already in their own groups, and Akira is left standing alone. He realizes it's been 22 days since he's had a real conversation with anyone at school. When the teacher asks everyone to pair up, he's the only one left without a partner. He just can't seem to fit in. He watches his classmates joke around from the sidelines, wishing he could be part of the crowd for once. As soon as the lunch bell rings, the whole class heads to the canteen together, leaving him behind. So, he ends up eating his lunch alone on the stairs. This is his daily life. He starts wondering how his high school experience ended up being so lonely. While walking by the school fountain, he watches other students hanging out and laughing. He thinks about how nice it would be to just have a normal chat as a girl walks past him. Then things go south. He trips, and his notebooks go flying toward the water. He tries to play it cool and starts apologizing, thinking he just bumped into a girl. Then he sees his notebooks, taking a swim in the fountain, and realizes he's in trouble. He's convinced his entire life is just one big series of unfortunate events. Suddenly, a leg steps right into the water. It's Shizuka Takasaki. To Akira, she looks like something straight out of a painting standing there in the spray. She catches him staring, and Akira immediately turns bright red. She tells him to quit standing around and help her grab the papers. He's just shocked she can even see him. He scrambles into the water, amazed that she didn't hesitate for a second to get her uniform wet for him. Up close, he's completely overwhelmed by how beautiful she is. Shizuka is soaked to the bone, but she doesn't seem to care about the mess at all. Akira panics, realizing he's just staring at her, and starts apologizing like crazy. She snaps at him to focus on the task at hand instead of overthinking everything. He can't help but see her as a goddess. Nobody else would go this far for a stranger like him. She gives him a huge smile once they've finally gathered all his stuff. The fountain keeps spraying behind them as they stand there in the aftermath of the mess. Akira keeps bowing and thanking her, but she just tells him to be more careful next time. She points out that people should help each other out and gives him a friendly wave. Akira is officially smitten. Turns out, this isn't just any girl. She's the student council president who gave the entrance ceremony speech. Her name is Shizuka Takasaki, and she's basically the most popular girl in school. Even a loner like Akira has heard all the rumors about how perfect she is. She's top of the class, a star athlete, and helps out every club. She's literally good at everything. She's the definition of a flawless girl, and everyone in school adores her. Akira watches her walk away, still amazed that someone like her would even notice a guy like him. For the first time in weeks, he actually feels a little bit of hope for his high school life. Later that day, he's walking home alone, wondering what he's even going to do with his time. He lets himself into an empty house. His parents are always traveling, so it's basically just him. Shizuka is walking home when a group of delinquents corners her in a park. One of them mocks her, revealing he knows she's the legendary Silent Riot. Akira is watching from the shadows, completely stunned. He can't believe the perfect girl from the student council has such a scary reputation. The thugs move in, thinking they got an easy target since they're dealing with a lone high school girl. One guy starts bragging about his boss, Shigeru Kawamura, who's currently planning to unite all the gangs in the city. They offer Shizuka a spot as Shigeru's right hand, thinking it's an offer she can't possibly refuse. Shizuka just stands there with a cold stare, while Akira panics behind a wall, wondering if he should jump in and help. But before he can even move, the atmosphere around Shizuka completely changes. She lunges forward with crazy speed, catching everyone off guard. She isn't the goddess anymore. She's a whirlwind of pure aggression. Akira is frozen in shock, watching his crush turn into a total beast right in front of him. She delivers a massive kick that sends one of the guys flying through the air like a rag doll. In a matter of seconds, the entire group is lying on the ground, groaning in pain. Shizuka stands over them, her face returning to its usual calm look as if she didn't just wreck a whole gang. Akira tries to sneak away, but he can tell she's already sensed he's there. He tries to play it cool, But Shizuka stops him and reveals she remembers him from the fountain earlier. She looks at him with this piercing gaze, and Akira realizes he's in deep trouble. She gets right in his face, her intensity making him turn bright red. She decides they need to talk somewhere private and drags him away before anyone else spots them together. They end up at a karaoke box, where the loud music provides the perfect cover for their conversation. Once they're alone in a room, she slams her hand against the wall, pinning Akira in place. She leans in close and threatens him, making sure he knows that his life depends on keeping her secret. Akira is terrified, unable to reconcile this fierce warrior with the perfect girl everyone adores at school. He quickly promises not to say anything. After all, he's so invisible that nobody would even listen to him anyway. Seeing that he's genuinely scared, Shizuka finally relaxes and lets out an embarrassed sigh. She sits down on the sofa, the microphones staying on the table as the tension starts to fade. Akira takes a seat across from her and cautiously asks if she really is the legendary delinquent leader. She confirms that 2 years ago, a single girl defeated the leaders of all 4 major gangs and united the city. That person was her. But as soon as she reached the top, she vanished, leaving behind a message that she was looking for a man stronger than her. Akira listens with wide eyes, still trying to process that the school star student was once the queen of the streets. She tells him she's completely done with that life now and is focusing on being a good girl. She's cut all ties with her delinquent past, even keeping it a secret from her parents and teachers. Akira is confused. He can't understand why someone that powerful would suddenly decide to act like a refined lady. Shizuka looks away, a deep blush creeping onto her face as she admits her real reason for changing. She wants to find a guy who is actually stronger than she is, someone who can truly protect her. She's been searching for her own knight in shining armor all this time. She tells him about her junior high days, how she used to pick fights with everyone just to find a guy who could beat her. But she was so strong that she ended up as the leader by default, which wasn't what she wanted at all. She eventually realized that no delinquent was ever going to be her knight, so she changed her image to find a normal guy instead. Akira can't help but laugh a little, thinking the legend of Silent Riot has a surprisingly cute side. Shizuka pouts at him, asking if he thinks her dream sounds childish. He shakes his head and tells her that he actually thinks it's really girlish and charming. The compliment hits her hard, and Shizuka turns completely red, unable to even look him in the eye. Akira feels a bit awkward, realizing his social skills aren't exactly great after years of being an introvert. He was just trying to pay her a compliment, but now he feels like he overstepped. Surprisingly, Shizuka isn't offended at all. She actually seems glad that it was a trustworthy guy like him who found out her secret. With the heavy stuff out of the way, she hands him a microphone and tells him that since they still have some time left in the booth, he might as well sing something. Akira is hesitant at first, admitting that he's only ever gone to karaoke by himself. He's never had anyone to sing with before. Shizuka gives him a warm, encouraging smile and extends her hand. She tells him that they should just sing together. He can't believe his luck. He never in a million years thought he'd be in this kind of situation with the school star student. They end up standing side by side, microphones in hand. For the first time in his life, Akira feels like he's actually sharing the stage with someone. Shizuka looks over at him and laughs, asking if he thinks singing with others is a lot more fun. The joy of the moment is overwhelming for him. He's so touched that a single tear actually starts to roll down his cheek. Shizuka notices and immediately panics, wondering if he's sick or if something is wrong. Akira just wipes his eyes and tells her he's totally fine. He explains that he's just really happy. He finally feels like a normal teenager, doing things like going to karaoke after school with a classmate. When they finally leave the booth, Akira gives her a deep bow and thanks her for such an amazing afternoon. Shizuka smiles and tells him that they should definitely do this again sometime. In fact, she wants to make it a regular thing. She leans in and tells him that since they've shared their secrets and had fun together, they're officially friends now. Akira is stunned. The word friends rings in his ears, something he's wanted to hear for a very long time. Shizuka laughs at his surprised expression, teasing him about whether he's ever even heard the word before. With a huge, genuine smile, Akira shouts that he would love to be her friend. The pure joy on his face is unmistakable. They end up trading phone numbers right there in the street. As Akira walks back to his quiet house, he realizes that maybe his high school life has finally, truly begun. Akira's head is spinning after finding out Shizuka's secret, but he still thinks she's the nicest person he's ever met. He realizes things are getting serious, though, especially since Shigeru Kawamura is involved. Back at school, everything looks normal on the surface. Over at the delinquent hideout, one of the goons bursts in looking terrified. He has to break the news to Shigeru. They got absolutely wrecked. Shigeru isn't even mad. He's actually impressed that the legendary Silent Riot is the real deal. He's even more excited that they managed to get a video of her in action. He hands over a letter of challenge and tells his guys to deliver it right away. After all, Shizuka is the girl who took control of the entire city in just 1 year. She vanished right after that, leaving behind a legend that every delinquent knows. Back in the student council room, Shizuka is being her usual perfect self while Akira helps her out. She's heard rumors about some new leader taking her old spot, but she tells herself it's not her problem anymore. She's just grateful that Akira knows her past but still chooses to be her friend. They've been spending a lot of time together lately, and seeing him happy makes her feel like she's living a normal life. Still, she can't shake the feeling that she's heard Akira's name somewhere before. At the lockers, she thanks him for all the help and tells him he really saved her today. She even offers to take him out for karaoke as a thank you, which catches him off guard. For a second, she just stares at him with a serious look in her eyes. But then she changes her mind, realizing she actually has some work she forgot about. She gives him a big smile and a wave, telling him she'll see him tomorrow. Akira watches her walk away, looking a bit disappointed that their date was canceled. Meanwhile, a mysterious letter addressed to the Silent Riot is left for her. Shizuka reads it and sees it's a formal challenge to a duel from Shigeru Kawamura. He even sent photos of her past self as a threat, so she knows she doesn't have a choice but to show up. She heads down to the bridge that evening, ready to face whatever is waiting for her. Shigeru is already there sitting on the grass, acting like he owns the place. Shizuka doesn't waste any time and demands to know how he even found out who she was. Shigeru ignores her and says he wants her to help him take down the current leader and get back to the top. She gives him a flat no, telling him she's done with that life for good. That's when he drops the blackmail, threatening to reveal her secret to the whole world. Shizuka isn't scared and tells him that if he wants her to listen, he'll have to beat her in a fight. But instead of fighting, the guys behind her just start smirking. Shigeru laughs and asks if she's really sure she wants to go wild right now. Shizuka starts to realize something is definitely off. She spots a guy hiding behind one of the bridge pillars, and he's got a camera pointed right at her. Shigeru brags that they're modern delinquents with their own social media channel. He explains that with just one tap, his henchman can start a live broadcast to the student council president acting like a thug. A scandal like that would be enough to get her kicked out of school instantly. He even brings up how she's been lying to her own family about being a good girl. Shizuka thinks about her past and how much she's struggled to keep her normal life together. Shigeru twists the knife, saying that once that video goes live, her parents and teachers will see who she really is. She's cornered with no way out, and Shigeru tells her she has no choice but to follow his orders. Shizuka is caught in a spiral of guilt, wondering if being blackmailed is just her karma for hiding her delinquent past. She thinks about how fairy tales always have a knight in shining armor to rescue the princess in distress. But then she snaps back to reality. She's no princess, and there's no knight coming for her. Looking at her situation, she figures nobody in their right mind would ever step in to help a bad girl like her. Suddenly, something streaks through the air right past her face. A well-aimed rock smashes the phone right out of the delinquent's hand before he can start his live stream. Shigeru and his goons are completely bewildered, wondering where the hell that rock even came from. A hand reaches out to catch another stone as a voice casually apologizes for the interruption. It's Akira, standing on the path like he's just out for a stroll, asking if he can have a quick word with him. Shigeru is pissed, demanding to know who this nerd is and how long he's been standing there. Shizuka is absolutely floored. She didn't expect to see Akira of all people here. Akira just rubs the back of his head, explaining that he's been there the whole time, but his thin presence kept him invisible. Shizuka can't believe her eyes. She wonders if he actually erased his presence on purpose. Akira's tone changes as he adjusts his glasses, saying he finally felt like he had to speak up. He steps up and tells Shigeru to stop bothering his senior and to quit following her around. He proudly claims that Shizuka is their school's amazing student council president, making her blush like crazy. One of Shigeru's big four gets right in Akira's face, calling him a wuss and trying to intimidate him. The guy asks if he's got a death wish, bragging about being part of the elite Silver Scorpion gang. Shizuka tries to protect him, telling them to stop because Akira is innocent and doesn't belong in this fight. Shigeru just laughs, mocking their friendship and telling his guys to show the nerd how brutal the real world is. He's convinced that once Akira starts crying for mercy, Shizuka will be too broken to resist his orders. The thugs surround Akira and prepare to let their fists fly. But in an instant, the tables turn. Akira moves so fast he's just a blur, sending every single one of them flying. He stands there perfectly calm while 7 tough guys are left groaning in the dirt. Shigeru is sweating bullets, completely unable to process how a nerd just dismantled his team. Even Shizuka is in shock. She's a legendary fighter herself, but she couldn't even track his movements. Akira slowly pushes his glasses up, looking like he hasn't even broken a sweat. Shigeru is trembling as the realization of who he's actually dealing with starts to sink in. Akira takes off his glasses, his eyes turning cold and sharp as he tells Shigeru he's got a lot of nerve. Shigeru finally recognizes him and screams in pure terror, "You're the boss." Shizuka's jaw drops. The legendary leader of the city's gangs is the same boy who's been helping her with paperwork. Shigeru is panicking, asking why the ultimate boss is wearing a school uniform, but Akira just says it's because they go to the same school. Realizing he's dead meat, Shigeru drops to his knees and starts begging for his life. He's sobbing and kowtowing, admitting he has zero chance against a monster like Akira. Shizuka can't wrap her head around it. She took a year to conquer the city, but Akira did it in a single day. Shizuka realizes he's on a completely different level of strength, while Akira casually apologizes for being a loner with no friends. Akira tells Shigeru he'll let him slide this once, but only if he completes a specific task. He points out the rumors about the girl behind him being the Silent Riot, and tells Shigeru to fix it. He claims the resemblance is just a coincidence, and that she's definitely not the girl they're looking for. Shigeru is confused, wondering how Akira can be so sure about that. Akira gives him a look that could kill, telling him to just accept it and get the drift. He orders Shigeru to spend his time making sure everyone in the city knows Shizuka and the legend are 2 different people. After the gang retreats, Shizuka stands there in shock, staring at Akira, who has already slipped back into his unassuming nerd persona. She tentatively thanks him, then can't help but ask why he goes around pretending to have no friends when he's actually the city's top boss. Akira just laughs it off, saying he's just an introvert who didn't intentionally hide anything. He just literally had nobody to talk to about it. He smiles warmly at her, explaining that he kept it quiet because he figured a perfect student like her wouldn't want to hear about gang stuff anyway. Seeing that genuine smile, Shizuka feels her heart skip a beat, her eyes fixed solely on him as the rest of the world fades away. She's completely flustered, blushing like crazy while thinking about how sweet he is and wondering if he really did all that just for her sake. Akira continues his story, explaining that he never even wanted to be a delinquent. It all started when he just tried to stop some guys from shaking him down. Apparently, he was so strong that they wouldn't stop pestering him to join them, so he eventually just beat them all up to get some peace and quiet. Shizuka is reeling, thinking about how he makes conquering the entire city's underworld sound like a minor chore he did just to stop being annoyed. Akira bows slightly in apology, feeling guilty that his lack of oversight on his subordinates ended up causing her so much trouble. He tells her with a serious look that she has nothing to worry about anymore, since he's officially declared that she isn't the legendary Silent Riot. As they start walking, he mentions he's still a bit curious about who could have possibly leaked her secret identity to the gangs in the first place. Shizuka is barely listening, overwhelmed by a strange, fluttering sensation in her chest that she's never experienced before. In her eyes, Akira has transformed into a literal knight in shining armor, the one she thought would never come for a bad girl like her. Just as quickly as the serious boss appeared, Akira is back to being the dorky guy who constantly fusses with his glasses. He suddenly gets all excited, asking Shizuka when they can go to their next karaoke session together. He tells her he's genuinely looking forward to it, because hanging out with a friend like her is the most fun he's ever had. Shizuka's imagination runs wild, picturing a future date where they're both happy and smiling together outside of school. She's left in a daze, her face bright red as she tries to process the fact that she might actually be falling for the weakest boy in school. Akira Kogure looks at his reflection, doubting his fashion choices. He bought these edgy clothes back in junior high, thinking they were cool, but now they just feel cringe. He panics in his room, surrounded by discarded outfits. He has no idea what normal clothes even look like for a day out with a girl. Suddenly, his phone vibrates on the table. He's surprised. His parents almost never call him, and he doesn't exactly have a social circle. He picks up to find Shizuka Takasaki on the other end. The unexpected call from the school's goddess sends his heart into a tailspin. They finalize their meeting for 1 p.m. tomorrow at the station. Akira hangs up, sweating and completely awestruck by how casual she sounded. On the other side of town, Shizuka is just as much of a wreck. She clutches her phone, face red, wondering if she actually managed to sound normal. She reflects on how easily they used to talk before she started seeing him in a romantic light. Now, everything feels different. She catches her own blushing face in a mirror. She's way too fired up for a simple outing. Looking at her wardrobe, she agonizes over whether her choice is too plain or if she's trying way too hard to be cute. Her internal monologue is a mess of self-doubt as she prepares for the big day. The clock at Hikage Station shows the meeting time is approaching. Akira arrives 10 minutes early, his heart pounding against his ribs. It's his first time ever meeting a friend like this outside of school. Then he sees her. Shizuka walks up with a bright smile, apologizing for the wait and looking absolutely stunning in her casual wear. Akira is completely frozen. He tries to respond, but his brain is short-circuiting at the sight of her. He can't get over how cute she is. The school uniform was one thing, but this casual look is on an entirely different level. He manages to suggest hitting up karaoke first to break the ice. Both of them are internally screaming. Shizuka worries her outfit is boring, while Akira is too distracted by her presence to notice anything else. They arrive at the karaoke building, ready to start their first official date. A few hours later, they step back out onto the street. Akira actually ended up singing his heart out. He points out a nearby game center, suggesting they head there next. Inside the arcade, Shizuka spots a crane game, and her eyes light up. She's desperate to give it a try. She admits that as student council president, she's had to avoid these kinds of delinquent hangouts to maintain her perfect image. She spots a round whale plushie in a machine and is immediately smitten by how fluffy it looks. Akira watches as she drops a coin in, her focus narrowing on the prize. The claw drops, but it's a total miss. The plushie slips right through its metallic fingers. Shizuka is devastated, pouting like a child at her failure. Akira finds the raw reaction surprisingly adorable. He steps up and asks if he can take a crack at it. Akira locks in, calculating the center of gravity. Years of playing games alone because he had no friends are finally going to pay off. The claw grabs the whale perfectly. Shizuka can only watch in awe as he nails it on the very first try. He hands the prize over to her, acting like it was no big deal while his arms are secretly shaking from the pressure. Shizuka hugs the fluffy whale to her face, her eyes sparkling with pure joy. Akira is caught off guard by the genuine, happy expression on her face. Shizuka realizes that ever since he saved her, staying just friends feels impossible. She thinks back to her idea of a knight, someone with the strength of heart to help those in need. To her, Akira is definitely stronger than he looks, and she's in no hurry to end their time together. They head over to Hikage Park to take a breather after all the excitement. They sit down on a bench, the quiet atmosphere of the park a sharp contrast to the noisy arcade. Akira turns to her, his expression turning serious. He thanks her for the day, mentioning how much he appreciates her looking out for a shy guy like him. Shizuka quickly objects, insisting that she was the one who had the most fun. She feels like she can truly be herself around him, especially since he already knows about her silent riot past. Akira gives her a warm, genuine smile. He tells her he had a lot of fun too, and the moment feels perfect. Shizuka Takasaki sits on the bench, her mind racing with self-doubt. She tells herself she can't fall for him just because he's strong, or she'll lose her discipline. She's looking for someone with strength of heart. Suddenly, a sharp gust of wind catches both of them by surprise, interrupting their quiet moment. A young girl nearby cries out as her hat is swept away by the wind. Shizuka instantly spots it and prepares to give chase. Shizuka's eyes narrow in focus. Her delinquent instincts kick in as she refuses to let that hat get away. She realizes there's a pond just past the bushes. If the hat falls in, There's no way that little girl is getting it back. With a desperate shout, she leaps into the air, reaching out with everything she's got to snag the hat. In midair, she suddenly remembers she's wearing stylish shoes today, not her usual sneakers. She realizes she's going to fall right into the pond. But instead of hitting the water, she's caught by a pair of strong arms. Akira Kogure has intercepted her mid-fall, holding her in a perfect princess hug. The scene leaves the nearby crowd stunned. Akira just casually remarks that he's glad he made it in time to save her. Akira looks down at her with a gentle smile, asking if she's all right. Shizuka can feel her heart practically pounding out her chest. She realizes that even though she ran with all her might, Akira still managed to catch up and save her from the water. She's completely floored. She thought she was fast, but Akira was already way ahead of her. She can't help but find him absolutely amazing. Akira notices his glasses fell off during the scramble and goes to pick them up, totally oblivious to the effect he's having. Shizuka clutches her heart, feeling it pound. Seeing his strength of heart in action for a complete stranger has completely won her over. She looks at Akira and knows for certain. He's the knight in shining armor she's been searching for. Later that evening, Shizuka stands in her room with a look of pure, unshakable determination. She has made up her mind. She wants to marry Akira. The house is quiet, but her mind is a storm of romantic resolution as she gazes out the window. Then the reality of the word marriage actually hits her, and she spirals into a blushing mess, wondering what she's supposed to do next. She dives on her bed and grabs her phone. In true modern fashion, she starts searching the internet for exactly what she needs. Her eyes widen as she finds the answer. She needs to get a marriage registration form from the local government office. She pulls up a digital copy of the form, imagining her name and Akira's sign on the dotted lines. She starts overthinking it. Is asking him to sign this the same as a confession? She has no idea how to actually pull this off. She worries that they've only known each other for a week. Is it too soon to go for the gold? But she's finally found her knight. She looks at the fluffy whale plushie he won for her, fueled by a new wave of confidence. She's not about to let this chance fail. She pumps herself up, deciding that if Akira likes her back, it'll all be fine. Step 1. Research his taste starting tomorrow. The next morning, Akira is walking to school, looking as unassuming as always in his uniform. He stops in his tracks, feeling a strange presence behind him. Since he's used to being invisible, feeling like he's being followed is rare and unsettling. He glances back at the street, but all he sees is a quiet cafe entrance and no one in sight. Suddenly, Shizuka pops out from behind a corner, looking completely caught off guard. She wasn't expecting him to turn around. Akira is confused, asking her what's wrong. Shizuka is a blushing wreck, realizing her tailing attempt was a total failure. She curses her luck. As a former gang leader, she thought she'd be better at tailing people, but Akira spotted her reflection in a window immediately. She's not giving up yet, though. Strategy 1 might have failed, but it's time for strategy 2, the direct inquiry. Later at school, she corners him in the student council room. She frames it as a love consultation for a friend, asking him what kind of girl he likes. Akira is totally fooled. He thinks she's just being her usual helpful self, assisting other students despite all her own council work. He starts describing his ideal type, a kind girl with long hair, someone calm, but who gets sharp and serious when it matters. Shizuka's eyes go wide. Long hair, kind, strong, and amazing like the student council president? It feels like he's describing her perfectly. But then Akira adds a dark twist, and she will die on the way, right? Shizuka's romantic fantasy instantly shatters. She's horrified, asking if the girl is going to die. Akira realizes he's just talking about a character from an anime he's currently watching. He's taken aback by her intense reaction. Shizuka is relieved, but also a bit annoyed that his ideal type was just a fictional character. She tries to steer him back to real life, but Akira admits he hasn't had many friends, so he's not really sure about his tastes. He thinks to himself that if he had to choose, he'd pick someone like Shizuka, but there's no way he can say that out loud. Strategy 2 also ends in failure. Shizuka decides to go for a direct attack. Strategy 3 is a handmade bento. Since Akira always eats store-bought bread, she's sure he'll be happy. Shizuka approaches Akira, holding out a beautifully wrapped bento. She bashfully explains that she made a bit too much and asks if he'd like to share it with her. Akira's heart skips a beat. He hasn't had lunch with a friend since elementary school, and his mind flashes back to many lonely afternoons spent eating by himself on the staircase landing. Overwhelmed with joy, Akira asks if she's sure it's okay. Shizuka, her face glowing with a warm smile, suggests they head to the rooftop to eat together. They open the bento, revealing a meticulously prepared meal. It's colorful, balanced, and looks like it came from a high-end restaurant. Akira stares at the food in wide-eyed wonder. He can hardly believe he's about to eat something handmade by Shizuka herself. He's genuinely impressed by her skill, noting how much effort it must have taken. Shizuka beams, admitting she takes a lot of pride in her cooking. As they eat, Akira's respect for Shizuka grows even more. He sees her as someone who is constantly striving to improve herself, and he feels a deep need to work harder to catch up to her level. Caught up in his thoughts, Akira accidentally blurts out that he's sure she'll make a wonderful wife someday. The moment the words leave his mouth, Shizuka freezes in shock. Shizuka's face turns a brilliant shade of crimson as she repeats the word wife to herself. Akira is equally mortified, his own face heating up as he realizes what he just said. In the midst of the awkward silence, Akira fumbles and drops one of his chopsticks. He and Shizuka both lean forward at the same time to pick it up. Their movements bring them inches apart, their faces suddenly very close in a quiet, intimate moment that catches them both off guard. Akira is practically glowing red from the proximity. Shizuka's heart thuds in her chest as she wonders if he's starting to see her as more than just a senior student. They quickly pull away, both completely flustered. Shizuka thinks to herself that strategy 3 has been an overwhelming success, perhaps even too successful. Their private moment is suddenly interrupted by the sound of the rooftop door opening. Both of them jump in surprise as a new figure steps out. Miran Matsuda, a Jairu from Akira's class, walks onto the roof. She looks at the two of them with a smirk, noting the unlikely pair of the student council president and the school's shadow character. Miran casually mentions that she was planning to eat her lunch there, but she didn't realize the rooftop was already occupied by a couple. Akira immediately panics and tries to explain that they aren't together like that. Miran just stares at them, her expression bored and unimpressed by his denial. Shizuka, however, feels a wave of protective rage. Her silent right persona starts to surface as she glares at Miran, her expression becoming dark and menacing. Akira tries his best to soothe her, urging Shizuka to take a deep breath and calm down before her delinquent side fully reveals itself. Miran just watches them, commenting on how surprisingly close they are. Shizuka manages to compose herself, offering a high-pitched, awkward compliment about how amazing Akira is to cover her outburst. Miran watches them with a skeptical eye, sensing there's more to their relationship. Akira realizes that Shizuka doesn't care about social status. She sees people for who they really are inside. He's totally caught off guard when she reveals she made him a bento from scratch. Seeing him react like that makes her blush like crazy. Akira takes a bite and is blown away by how good the omelet is. Shizuka is absolutely glowing, thrilled that her lunch strategy was a success. As they finish up, it's time to deal with the school's latest drama. Akira mentions Miran Matsuda, a girl who's a lot nicer than her flashy look suggests. She's been suspended lately, and the rumor is she punched the popular class president. That would be Hikaru Sakai, the guy everyone considers the perfect student. Because of the incident, Miran is being branded as a liar and bullied by the rest of the class. Akira and Shizuka both get a bad vibe from the whole situation. Shizuka can't ignore this as the student council president and decides to look into it. Akira steps up to help, wanting to get to the bottom of this together. Later that day, Miran is left alone to haul the school's heavy trash bags. Sakai corners her, mocking her for having to do everything by herself now that she's an outcast. He acts like he's pitying her while actually enjoying the power trip. He tells her straight to her face that nobody wants to be seen with a liar. Then he demands an answer about whatever happened between them before. Miran doesn't flinch, telling him she has zero respect for cowards. Sakai just keeps smirking, threatening to make her life miserable for the next 3 years. He tells her he can make it all go away if she just gives him the right answer. Miran is left standing there, frustrated and angry at his manipulation. She's totally isolated, left alone with the trash. Even her desk at school is covered in graffiti and insults. The rest of the class just whispers behind her back while Sakai and his friends laugh. Shizuka isn't taking this lightly. She's ready to expose what's really going on. She starts her own investigation, gathering testimonies about Miran's real character. She finds out that those who actually know Miran have nothing but good things to say. She meets with Kunaba, another student who worked with Miran on a committee. He's genuinely surprised by the news of her suspension. Kunaba mentions some shady rumors about Sakai's secret life with delinquents. He tells Shizuka he'd do anything to help her out of gratitude. It turns out Shizuka saved him from a group of bullies back in their first year. With all the info gathered, she heads off to find Akira. Meanwhile, Akira spots Miran on the street and calls out to her. He catches up and asks if she wants to walk home with him. Miran warns him to stay away, or he'll end up being an outcast too. Akira just tells her not to worry about it. He's used to being ignored anyway. Then he cuts to the chase and asks her if she actually hit Sakai. Miran tries to play it off, saying that if everyone says so, it must be the truth. But Akira looks her in the eye and asks if it's possible Sakai was the one lying. He finally admits that he overheard her entire conversation with the guy earlier. Akira tells her straight up that it looked like Sakai was threatening her earlier. He explains that Shizuka interviewed her old acquaintances, and they all had good things to say about her. He's absolutely certain she would never hit someone like that, which clearly catches her off guard. Hearing that people actually believe in her brings Miran to the verge of tears. Akira says there are plenty of people on her side, including him and Shizuka, and he needs her to tell him the whole truth. Miran thought she was completely alone, but she realizes she still has people who care. She finally decides to open up about what really happened between her and the class president. She confirms that she definitely didn't hit him like the rumors say. It turns out Sakai had asked her to go out with him, but she turned him down flat. She told him she wasn't into guys who were that full of themselves. Shizuka agrees it was harsh, but says it's better to be clear with guys like that. Suddenly, her phone beeps with a message from Sakai demanding to meet at the park at 6 p.m. for her final answer. Miran insists on handling this herself, determined to reject him once and for all. Akira watches her go, but he clearly isn't planning on just letting it happen. He's got that look in his eyes that says it's time to get to work. Akira finds one of Sakai's minions tailing them and calls him out immediately. The guy is shocked that he was spotted, but Akira is one step ahead. He tells the thug to stop messing with Miran or he'll regret it, but the guy just threatens him back. The thug swings at him, but Akira doesn't even flinch, calling a nice punch before taking control. In a matter of seconds, the guy is on the ground screaming, while Akira starts his interrogation about Sakai. He demands to know if they were the ones who trashed Miran's desk, and his intensity is terrifying. The guy breaks instantly, admitting they used social media and fake stories to ruin her reputation. He confesses that the entire story about Miran punching Sakai was a total lie they made up. He even admits to stealing test papers for Sakai, saying they only do it because the guy is so strong. Akira lets the guy go with a message. Tells Sakai that he's been beaten by the shadowy guy. He realizes that if Sakai is this manipulative, Miran is in serious trouble right now. Over at the park, Sakai is waiting for Miran, looking as smug as ever. Miran stands her ground, refusing to be intimidated by him anymore. She shouts that she's done following his orders and won't go out with a guy like him. She tells him that because people believe in her, she's going to keep telling the truth no matter what. Sakai's mask of perfection slips, and he asks her if she really thinks she can just walk away from him. Two of his thugs step out from the shadows, cornering her against a wall. He tells his buddies to do whatever they want with her, showing his true, ugly colors. One of them grabs her arm and starts dragging her toward the back of the building. Miran is paralyzed with fear as they start tearing at her clothes. She lets out a desperate cry for help, hoping someone will hear her. Just then, Akira steps out from behind a tree, casually asking for a minute of their time. Miran is completely stunned to see him there, and Sakai is just as confused. She tells him to run for his life, but Akira admits he's been watching from the start. He reminds her that he told her he was on her side, and he meant it. Miran can't believe he actually came for her. Sakai just laughs, asking if he's trying to be a hero before ordering his thugs to crush him. One of Sakai's thugs launches a punch at Akira, but he doesn't seem bothered at all. Akira avoids the blow with a split-second movement, his speed leaving everyone stunned. Sakai and Miran are both left speechless by the sudden display of skill. Akira slowly takes off his glasses, and the atmosphere around him shifts into something much more intense. Without his glasses, his face looks completely different, cold, focused, and dangerous. He tells Sakai that he's got a lot of nerve trying to pick a fight with him. Sakai starts to piece it together, horrified at the thought that he's facing the legendary shadowy guy. Akira notes that he always suspected Sakai's honor student persona was just a cover for a failed delinquent. Sakai is visibly trembling, but he tries to maintain his pride, claiming he isn't the same weakling he was before. He tries to regain his confidence, pointing out that Akira made the mistake of showing up alone. On his command, the entire group of thugs moves in to surround Akira from all sides. Sakai mocks him, saying a loner like him can't possibly win while trying to protect someone else. Akira simply informs him that he didn't actually come to the park by himself this time. Sakai is interrupted by the sharp sound of his phone ringing on a nearby bench. He answers it, only to hear one of his men screaming as they get taken out at the park entrance. The thugs around Akira look back in shock as their reinforcements are defeated in seconds. A new figure steps into the park, her expression fierce and full of confidence. Shizuka Takasaki makes her entrance, having shed her perfect student image for her true delinquent self. She greets Akira with a sharp grin, apologizing to her leader for taking so long to arrive. Long hair, that old-fashioned skirt. The clues are starting to add up. Those sharp eyes really give it away. There's no doubt about it. She's the legendary gang leader, Silent Riot. Hikaru is losing his mind, wondering why a retired legend is hanging out with someone like Akira. The guy in question just looks confused by the sudden recognition. Shizuka tries to play it cool with some really suspicious whistling, pretending she's just a normal student. She drops the act for a second to tell Hikaru he's got no chance of winning this. Hikaru starts to tremble as the realization of who he's dealing with finally sinks in. Knowing he can't win a fair fight, he orders his guys to just grab Miran and use her as a hostage. Akira decides these guys haven't learned their lesson and definitely need to be punished. Shizuka moves in a total blur, taking down the entire group before they can even blink. In less than 10 seconds, the whole gang is scattered across the grass, completely knocked out. Hikaru is left standing alone, staring in total shock at his defeated crew. The panic finally hits him as he realizes there's nowhere left to run. He drops into a pathetic dejiza, screaming an apology at the top of his lungs. He begs for mercy, but neither of them looks particularly moved by his performance. Akira and Shizuka share a look, finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. There's zero chance they're actually going to forgive him after all the trouble he caused. Back at school, the news travels fast. Everyone knows Hikaru was the one lying and stealing test papers. Miran walks into the classroom with her head held high for the first time. The rest of the students are stunned to see her looking so composed. Suddenly, everyone is swarming her, apologizing for ever believing those rumors. Akira explains that Hikaru's own subordinates ended up confessing to everything. Miran just listens quietly as she realizes her name has finally been cleared. The other girls welcome her back with open arms, and a relief finally starts to set in. She can't help but break into a genuine smile. Up on the roof, Shizuka is happy to report that Hikaru has officially been expelled from school. She still feels a bit responsible for the whole mess since she's the student council president. Miran finds them on the roof, bringing along a box of fancy macarons as a thank you gift. She tells them straight up that she has no idea what would have happened if they hadn't stepped in. Akira tries to stay humble, saying it's just part of the job to deal with evils like that. Shizuka gets worried when the Silent Riot name comes up again, but Miran tells her to relax. She points out how funny it is that a president and a gang leader are such a tight-knit pair. Akira is just depressed because even after all that, nobody even recognizes him as a leader anyway. Miran gets a good laugh out of his dramatic reaction. She grabs him and tells him he's a genuinely nice guy, finally seeing why the president likes him so much. Shizuka immediately panics and tells Miran she can't just go around grabbing him like that. She's a stuttering, flustered mess trying to explain herself. Miran promises she's not trying to steal him away, which only makes Shizuka more embarrassed. With her work done, she heads off to give the two of them some privacy. Once they're alone, Akira's expression turns serious. He tells Shizuka there's one thing he really needs to confirm with her. Akira asks if she's really okay with going back to being Silent Riot. He blames his own weakness for forcing her back into that world to save Miran. He remembers her calling those days her dark past. Shizuka just blushes, clearly touched by his concern. She stands up, and for a second, Akira isn't sure what to expect. She tells him that because of those days, she was able to meet him, so it's not a dark past anymore. Akira's face lights up like a Christmas tree. They sit together on the roof, the tension finally breaking into a happy lunch. Later, Shizuka walks down the hall, wondering why she went through the trouble of making a bento. Akira takes a bite, and his eyes practically pop out. It's delicious. Miran pops in and immediately starts teasing them, asking Shizuka to make her breakfast every day too. Shizuka is a blushing mess, and Akira's just annoyed that his big confession moment got hijacked by third wheel. By the end of the day, Shizuka is walking home feeling like she's made zero romantic progress. Meanwhile, Akira is on the phone with his subordinate, Shigeru, who's reporting in with some urgent info. Shigeru mentions that rumors are starting to fly about Shizuka being the one behind the silent riot mask. He's been trying to keep his guys in line, but some of the delinquents are still holding a grudge. Akira is stunned when Shigeru reveals he's found out where the info is coming from. It's been circulating for a while now, and surprisingly, it didn't start with the delinquents. Akira hangs up, impressed that Shigeru is actually more useful than he looks. But the mystery remains. Who would want to expose Shizuka's secret identity? He thinks back to her smile and vows to protect her, no matter what it takes. In another part of the school, a shadowy figure is fuming in the hallway. This guy was the one spreading the rumors, but he's pissed because no one's dared to touch her while Akira's around. He glares at a photo of her on his phone, feeling betrayed by her kind, new personality. He draws a massive X over her face on the screen. This stalker is ready to do whatever it takes to get his revenge. We cut back to a memory of the night Akira was waiting by the riverbank for a duel. Shizuka stepped out of the shadows, and he realized the challenger had finally arrived. Without a word, she lunged forward, and a massive impact echoed across the bridge. Akira just smirked, finally finding someone who could actually give him a real challenge. Back in the present, Shizuka is left wondering how her peaceful school life turned into such a mess. She thinks back to a conversation she had with Miran in the student council room. Miran had burst in, looking for some tea and a place to hang out. Shizuka admitted she actually called her there because she needed some expert advice. She confessed that her operation, Make Akira Fall for Me, has been a total disaster. Miran just sipped her tea, listening to her friend's romantic woes with a knowing look. Shizuka got so flustered explaining herself that she nearly choked on her own words. Miran was genuinely surprised that anyone would still ask for dating advice in such a formal way. Shizuka admitted she's just too scared that he might think she's joking if she confesses at the wrong time. Miran's advice was simple. She should just tell him and get it over with. She stood up and told her that worrying about it is just a huge waste of time. Shizuka was completely defeated, realizing the truth was way harsher than she expected. Miran suggests a more classic approach. Why not just write a love letter? The idea hits Shizuka like a bolt of lightning, and she thanks her friend for the brilliant suggestion. As Shizuka rushes off, Miran can't help but feel a bit baffled by her intensity. Shizuka realizes she's never written one before, but she remembers seeing a letter once that was filled with undeniable passion. She thinks back to the time she sent a letter to Akira, wondering why it resulted in a fierce duel on the bridge. At the time, she was just happy to find someone who could keep up with her strength. She was amazed that Akira could block every single one of her attacks, even when she wasn't holding back. For the first time, she felt a thrill that made her want to fight even harder and enjoy the moment. They had fought until they were both out of breath, standing under the bridge in the evening light. Akira had told her how much fun he had, and she couldn't have agreed more. Shizuka felt like she'd finally met her match, suspecting he might have even been going easy on her. They sealed the moment with a promise to have another round in the future. In the present, she realizes the passionate letter she wrote was the reason for the misunderstanding. The letter she'd written read more like a formal challenge to a duel than a declaration of love. Miran is stunned that the president is so clueless about romance that she'd mistake a challenge for a love letter. Shizuka admits she used a delinquent's challenge letter as a reference, much to Miran's dismay. Miran decides to take matters into her own hands and suggests a group outing for the upcoming Sunday. Shizuka tries to play it cool, but her flustered reaction gives her away immediately. She eventually gives in and begs Miran to invite Akira on her behalf. Miran finds Akira later and extends the invitation, much to his surprise. Akira is so overcome with emotion that he actually starts to tear up. He's genuinely touched that someone would want to spend time with a loner like him. When Miran calls him a friend, he's absolutely stunned by the realization. He enthusiastically agrees to meet them at the station on Sunday at noon. Once the plans are set, Miran decides to probe a little deeper and asks what he really thinks of the president. She wonders if he sees Shizuka as a love interest or just a senior student. Akira looks at the president's image, seeing her as the perfect student that everyone admires. He feels like she's a distant figure far above his own station in life. But he admits that she's become an incredibly important and dazzling person to him. Miran points out that he's overthinking it, as Shizuka clearly views him as an equal. Akira is honored, but he can't help but feel there's a social gap between them that's hard to ignore. Miran is doing some serious deep thinking in the school hallway. She's worried that if Shizuka doesn't make a move soon, some other girl might actually snatch up Akira. Cut to the weekend, and Akira is waiting at Hikage Station. When Shizuka shows up looking absolutely stunning in her date outfit, he's basically a blushing mess. Akira asks where their third wheel is, but Shizuka drops the news. Miran supposedly caught a cold and won't be coming. Way to be subtle, Miran. Shizuka explains that the symptoms are mild, so they don't need to worry too much. She then pulls out her phone, showing a plan Miran sent over earlier. It's a full-blown special date course designed by the resident gyro expert. Akira looks like he just saw his life flash before his eyes. Shizuka is acting all shy, asking if he's okay with sticking to the plan. She's really selling the whole innocent practice angle. Inside his head, Akira is screaming. He's pretty sure his heart isn't going to survive a whole day of this. He convinces himself that this is just training for her. Since she's looking for a guy stronger than her, he figures he's just a test dummy for her future real date. He agrees to be her practice partner, and Shizuka's face lights up. She's internally giving Miran a massive thumbs up for this setup. She's in a great mood, humming as they start their walk. Akira is still trying to keep his composure. First stop, a character goods shop. Shizuka suggests some window shopping to get into the dating spirit. She finds a shelf full of cute stuff and geeks out. Akira, meanwhile, is busy thinking about how cute she looks. They find a whole display dedicated to Walukan, a round little whale character. Shizuka is shocked that he remembered it was her favorite. She's basically glowing with happiness at this point. He asks if she wants one, but she's being practical. A giant stuffed toy would be a pain to carry around all day. They spot some small phone straps instead. Akira offers to buy it for her as a gift, but she insists on paying because she's the senpai here. They end up in a ridiculous back and forth, both trying to be the one to pay. It's like a middle school standoff. They compromise by buying matching straps for each other. Now, they've got matching accessories, classic date move. Shizuka is thrilled with the result, but Akira is still blushing like crazy. Even for practice, this is a lot for him. He catches her smiling and starts to feel a bit more relaxed. She looks genuinely happy to be here with him. As they walk, Akira wonders if the fact that she's okay with this means she doesn't actually dislike him. That's a huge win in his book. He flashes back to Miran asking what he really thinks about Shizuka. The meddling friend is always watching. His heart starts racing again, and he has to ask himself if he actually has feelings for her. It's a scary thought for a guy who prefers the shadows. He immediately shuts it down. He tells himself he's just a practice partner and shouldn't get ahead of himself. He doesn't want to make things awkward. Next on the list is Cinema EX. They're really hitting all the romantic checkpoints today. They settle into the dark theater. It's quiet, it's dim, the perfect setting for things to get even more awkward. Suddenly, Shizuka reaches out and their hands brush against each other. Akira's internal alarm is going off at full volume. Both of them are sitting there, frozen and blushing. The movie is the last thing on their minds right now. They step out of the theater later. Shizuka says it was her first time watching a romantic movie and that it was actually pretty fun. Akira is impressed. Miran's course is almost too effective. It feels exactly like a real date. He asks what's next on the schedule. The next destination is Hikage Park. Akira is confused, thinking it's just a normal spot for a walk. The sign confirms they've arrived. Shizuka points out that the plan says they have to go to the top of the park. They reach a viewing platform with a large bell hanging at the center. It's starting to look very suspicious. A close-up of the bell. In any romance manga, you know exactly what this bell is for. Then they see the fence. It's absolutely covered in padlocks from couples. Akira finally realizes this is a lover's sanctuary. The place is crawling with couples flirting and being lovey-dovey. For two awkward teenagers, this is basically a nightmare zone. Akira is completely overwhelmed by the atmosphere. He can't believe Miran actually sent them to a place like this. They even witness a live confession happening right in front of them. The tension is through the roof. Shizuka explains that this spot is legendary for confessions. She's taking this study session very seriously. Akira has officially reached his limit. He's feeling dizzy from the sheer amount of romance in the air and needs to escape. He tells her it's probably time to head back. Shizuka is just standing there with her head down, looking like she has something on her mind. But as he turns to leave, she reaches out and tugs on his shirt. She's not ready to end the practice just yet. Akira is caught completely off guard. He's frozen in place, while Shizuka keeps her head bowed, refusing to meet his eyes. She finally looks up at him, her face turning a deep shade of red. The tension between them is so thick you could cut it with a knife. She starts to speak, her voice trembling as she calls out his name. It's clear she's trying to build up the courage for something major. Akira's heart skips a beat. He realizes they've reached the end of the course, which can only mean one thing. It's time for the practice confession. Shizuka stammers through an explanation, saying that since Miran put so much effort into the plan, they should really see the training through to the end. Akira is internally panicking. He thinks of himself as just a shadow person and doesn't feel worthy of being the training partner for someone as perfect as her. He stares at her, struck by how serious and beautiful she looks in this moment. It's almost too much for him to handle. He's absolutely floored. He thinks that for the most beautiful girl in school, her gaze alone has enough destructive power to wipe him out. Shizuka looks at him expectantly, waiting for him to make a move. The silence is making him sweat. He starts sweating buckets, wondering if he's the one who has to go first since he's the training partner for this scenario. He eventually asks for clarification, confused about whether he should be the one confessing or if it's her turn. Shizuka looks at him with sparkly, determined eyes. She's ready to get down to business and finish the date properly. Internally, she's psyching herself up. She tells herself it's fine to take the lead since this is all just for practice anyway. She sees this as a golden opportunity to say how she feels without the fear of rejection, hoping it might make him finally notice her. Standing right in front of the bell, she resolves to make this practice confession as serious and heartfelt as possible. She takes a deep breath and prepares to speak, but she's so nervous she can barely get the words out. Suddenly, a loud, obnoxious voice ruins the mood. Some guy is mocking them from nearby, laughing at their awkwardness. A group of local punks has appeared, and they're making fun of the romantic atmosphere at the sanctuary. Shizuka is visibly irritated. She's absolutely fuming. She had just managed to summon her courage, and now these idiots have gone and ruined everything. To her, this wasn't just training, it was an incredibly important moment that she had put her heart into. She's so frustrated, she looks like she might actually burst into tears. The romantic vibe is completely dead. Akira sees how upset she is, and his entire demeanor changes. His expression turns cold and focused. He tells her to just hang on for a moment. He's not going to let these guys get away with ruining their time together. He steps forward, looking surprisingly intimidating as he tells her to wait there while he handles the situation. Shizuka is stunned by the sudden change in his aura. She watches him walk toward the delinquents with a mix of surprise and worry. He approaches the punks, who are still being loud and obnoxious. One of them snaps back, wondering what his problem is. He calmly explains that people come here to enjoy the tranquility and asks them to please be quiet. Shizuka's face turns bright red as she realizes that to everyone else, they look exactly like a real couple. The delinquents aren't having it. They tell the gloomy guy to mind his own business unless he wants to get hurt. Akira isn't even fazed. He realizes these guys are just low-level punks, not actual hooligans, and he has no desire to hit amateurs. The guy in hoodie tells him to shut up and winds up a punch, but Akira doesn't even flinch. Before the punch can land, Akira reaches out and catches the guy's fist in midair. The delinquent is frozen in shock. Akira tells him he doesn't want a meaningless fight and suggests they just back off. With a quick strike, Akira effortlessly handles the situation, leaving the punks staggered and gasping for air. The first guy is terrified, realizing this guy is way stronger than he looks. They decide it's time to run for it. They scramble away in a panic. One of them asks if Akira even cares about what could happen to his girlfriend. One of the punks is literally shuddering with fear. The look in Akira's eyes was more than enough to spook him. Shizuka watches them run, but she's confused by the flash of fear she felt for a split second just now. She wonders if it was because she thought they might have weapons or more friends waiting in ambush. But she knows none of that would scare her. The punk who was grabbed is left dizzy and collapses to the ground, completely out of the fight. Shizuka flashes a bright smile and tells him, "Good job." She knows these guys wouldn't have been a problem for her anyway. But even so, as Akira walks back, he also wonders why he felt that sudden flash of fear back then. A siren wails in the distance, and both Akira and Shizuka look up in surprise. They realize a patrol car is heading their way and wonder if someone actually called the police. Shizuka decides they should probably make themselves scarce. Even though it was self-defense, she doesn't want to get tangled up in any more trouble. She tells Akira they should get out of there. They head to a local family restaurant to cool down and get some food after the chaotic turn of events. The two of them find a quiet booth and sit down. The atmosphere is much calmer now, though the remnants of the earlier tension still linger between them. Shizuka mentions that these kinds of incidents aren't that uncommon for her, but they both agree that their carefully planned date training got totally spoiled in the end. She looks at him with genuine admiration and tells him that what he did was really cool. She explains that not many people would have stepped in to stand up to those delinquents like he did. Akira is completely flustered. He wants to tell her he only did it because he couldn't stand seeing her look so sad, but he knows there's no way he can say that out loud. Shizuka continues, explaining that she thinks true strength isn't just about physical power, but about being kind enough to care for others. She tells him once more how cool he was back there. Akira's heart is racing so fast he can't even look her in the eyes. Just as the mood shifts again, Shizuka's phone pings with a message from Miran. Miran is checking in to see if the confession went well and sends a link to another recommended spot for them. Akira wonders what kind of place it could be. They open the website together and see photos of an extravagant room with a large bed. Shizuka innocently wonders if it's some kind of spacious net cafe. It only takes a second for the realization to hit them both. Their faces turn bright red as they realize exactly what kind of place Miran just recommended to them. They both scream in unison that the place is absolutely a no-go. The embarrassment is through the roof for both of them. Eventually, they make their way to the train station to head home. They wave goodbye, ending their eventful training day on a slightly awkward note. Akira walks away from the station alone, his expression turning more contemplative now that he's by himself. As he walks through the neighborhood, his mind drifts back to the park. He's still trying to figure out why he felt that split second of fear during the fight. He thinks back to the delinquents. At first, he thought he was scared because Shizuka was being threatened, but he knows she's strong enough to have handled those small fry easily. He stops and looks up at the sky, still deeply lost in his own thoughts. Then he remembers the moment in front of the bell. Even though Shizuka said it was just practice, something about her expression made him feel like she truly meant what she was saying. He starts to wonder how he actually feels about Shizuka's senpai. Is it just admiration, or is it something more? Is it as a senpai, a person he admires, or a person he loves? He quickly shakes the thought away, telling himself it would be discourteous to even consider it. He tells himself that a gloomy guy like him has no right to have those kinds of feelings for someone like her. He resolves not to misunderstand their relationship. Suddenly, his phone starts ringing, breaking him out of his internal monologue. It's a call from Shigeru Kawamura. Akira answers, and Shigeru reports in, calling him boss. He has urgent news regarding the silent riot rumors. Shigeru explains that he's managed to find the source and the address of the person spreading the rumors. He says his group is ready to move in whenever Akira gives the word. Akira tells him to wait and meet him in front of Hikage High after school tomorrow. Shigeru agrees, and the call ends with a beep. Akira looks determined. He's focused on protecting Shizuka by eliminating the immediate threat of these rumors once and for all. Back at the park, the sun has long since set, leaving the lovers' sanctuary empty and shrouded in shadow. A dark figure stands by the bell, gritting his teeth in a jealous fury. He's clearly been watching Akira and Shizuka from the shadows. He is absolutely seething. To him, the fact that Shizuka was there with such a gloomy guy is completely ridiculous and insulting. The unknown stalker's face is twisted into a malicious grin. He vows that he won't forgive her for betraying him and promises to make her regret it.